Hello and welcome to Earth is Waking Up. This is your host, Jeremy Anderson, and today we've got a special guest, Erica Risberg. Erica has, since childhood, been a curious one. She connected deeply with animals and land at a young age. When she was 12, she received guidance that she would get a PhD and set up on a quest to obtain it. She was always curious about what the other was and why there was a separation between men and women. She didn't get it. She spent 14 years in college and uncovering culture, what prompted revolutions and the nuances of radio programming to try to understand humanity at a deeper level. She didn't know this at the time, but this was her soul's calling to uncover what connects all of us and share what she's learned to help others. When she turned 40, oh, you're 40 already. Her father died from a
Older
staph
than that.
infection while dealing with pancreatitis. That sent her on a spiritual quest. She ended her job to start her passion of storytelling as a voiceover talent. 4 years ago, she had another awakening. Following a meditation that focused on healing the wounds from the Paris bombings in 2015, she took a vow of peace. She didn't know what that meant, other than to eliminate violence from her life. For 6 months, she divested herself of movies, literature, and music that were her staples, all of which had elements of violence. As she tuned in more to her inner knowing, she's found that she's been drawn to more sustainable living. She's also found her food choices have shifted dramatically as she is currently almost all plant based. She developed a podcast called All Things in the Name of Love as a way to share her journey and the spiritual journeys of others to help her listeners on their path of self discovery. Now, just a little more to add to that. When I met Erica at an event, we had just this amazing, like heart opening, just this instant connection that we knew that we were meant to talk to each other more on a deeper level than most people. And we just jumped right in. And
Yeah,
most
we did.
people aren't able to do that. And so I love being able to do that. So welcome, Erica. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Jeremy. It's such an honor to be here.
Yes, I'm super excited to have you on, and for uh, reasons that we might get into on some of the show, but I would love to start off by hearing a little more of maybe some of your awakenings, especially if there's something that you haven't shared much with audiences yet. I know you've been on a lot of podcasts, and
Sure. So, what I've found, I've always been I'm a highly sensitive person, and I grew up in an environment with loving people who were wounded, and so I numbed myself out, which is something a lot of highly sensitive people do because it feels overwhelming. And as I've gone on my spiritual journey, especially for the past, I'll say 5 years, working with an amazing BodyTalk practitioner and spiritual guide, Heather Christian Strang, I have gone through so many iterations of removing layers and layers of behaviors and patterns that I didn't even know was within me. That is funny. I don't really recognize myself because I placed all of those belief systems into who I thought I was.
yeah,
And what I've uncovered is I'm actually much more loving and kind and peaceful because I'm tuning into the deeper part of my soul.
mm-hmm.
And I never really fully imagined that I'd be able to do that. I wanted to, but I didn't think I could.
Yeah. So what experiences do you feel helped snap you back or crack that open?
So I have a background in history, and I've read some really nasty, low vibrating stories of how cruel people can be to one another. And I kept shutting down more and more and more.
Yeah.
And after my dad died, I started meditating and I started doing a forgiveness exercise every day. And I had gotten to the place where 4 years ago, I was like more open, but then the Paris bombing happened. And for some reason, and I can't explain it because I've been asked this before, why that and not 9/11 or anything else, but something about the innocence of the people who were dancing in a nightclub and the violence that occurred just snapped me wide open.
Wow.
And I was like, I can't do this anymore. And what I felt was I can't participate in a culture that promotes violence and not love.
Yeah.
I
Sometimes
didn't
it's just
really,
timing, right?
right. It was just timing. It was like that thing was opening me because I was ready to be open. And Christian had a meditation on healing the wounds of the Paris bombing. And I listened to it. And at the end of it, I was compelled. And I said, I don't even know who's listening. I don't care who's listening. I have to take a vow of peace. I don't know what this means, but I am today taking a vow of peace. And the next day, I got rid of all of the action books I was listening to. I stopped going to movies. I deleted songs that were violent on my iTunes. And then I went, okay, now what? Because it was silent. Like I didn't know what I was going to do for 6 months because I hadn't been exposed to the deeper spiritual underpinnings of me.
Yeah.
And fortunately, I have friends who are spiritual and they gave me book recommendations. But it was like this, I can't keep doing this anymore.
So this is a great topic. What have you found are helpful for people to replace in terms of media, like movies and music? Because I've gone through the same thing. I don't have a desire to be exposed to that crap. A lot of it.
Right. So, well, I have the perk of being near a bookstore or a shop called New Renaissance, which is like the biggest metaphysical store in the United States. But what I suggest is Don Miguel Ruiz is a really good start because it brings in ideas about his phrase is the domestication of humanity. And that just stirs around in your head a little to get you like to, wait a minute, how have I been domesticated? This is a really interesting concept. And well, Christian's got 4 books that are all really, they're transmissions from non-physical energy, which are really powerful and very nourishing.
Yeah.
And those are just 2 options. Gaia TV has a lot of really amazing, thought-provoking, expanding shows and movies. Uplift TV has
Doesn't Netflix have uplifting stuff?
I don't know. I don't have Netflix.
Not much from what I found.
I don't have Netflix. I had
tidbits once in a while, but
yeah, I had it, and then I just realized I wasn't using it.
Yeah.
So I just canceled it, which I know is a radical thought, but like Gaia is like $10 a month and I use it.
And it actually benefits your life, right?
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Yes.
And then I meditate.
Oh, meditate. Really?
I meditate. Yeah, I meditate. I have BodyTalk sessions with Christian regularly. Which seems like it's like it may be like, wait, you're investing in yourself?
Right.
Is that really self-care? But that's like the deepest self-care I can give myself because I'm removing layers of belief systems that don't serve me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And she's on the show as well, so
that's awesome.
Yes.
She's amazing. She's amazing.
Yes, very much. I'm excited, ecstatic to have some of the people on this show. I feel so lucky to get to do this. So we don't have a whole lot of time left on the interview. So I would love to hear a little more about how you feel that you could be a catalyst for others in their awakening through your experiences and through some of the work that you have to offer.
Okay, well, I have 2 things. The first is my podcast, which is called All Things in the Name of Love. And I interview a wide range of individuals on their spiritual journeys. And that is really awakening for me. And I know my listeners really enjoy it too, because it's like you get different perspectives. I mean, this next month, I'm going to have a shaman on. and I'm going to have a Hindu yogi channel. Because I want to make sure that I'm covering as many different perspectives as possible to break down the illusion that we're separate.
Yes.
So that's one of the things I do. The other thing I do is I help people unwind from overwhelm, because that's part of what I've done over the past 4 years with this vow of peace. Is everything in my life has shifted because I keep saying, am I causing harm to another? And so as I keep unwinding, an example would be TerraCycle. I have this image of TerraCycle recycles everything.
Nice.
And my image of plastic, and it'll dolphin
right,
because it's choking on the plastic that I didn't recycle.
we need
So
more
like
corporate responsibility in this world, and so I love
right,
companies like TerraCycle stepping up and doing that, because
right,
some towns have zero recycling. It's like, what?
right. So like for me, it's like, okay, what am I doing that's causing harm? So it's shifted my shopping behavior. It's shifted how I show up in the world. So like I want to show people what I did over the past 4 years to help them step back into a more calm, focused place where they can actually tune into their intuition and find their deeper calling.
Yeah.
I have a 6-month program that's a one-on-one that I offer. It's called F Overwhelm, and you can take the F any way you want.
Forget.
I also have a 3-month program where I do a weekly Zoom call, and then we have a Facebook group to talk you out of, for lack of a better phrase, an addiction. Like if you have something that you can't, you have an unrealistic craving for sugar, or you can't wake up without your phone. I have done this. I have stepped myself out of a lot of behaviors that were really unhealthy for me, and I offer that support.
So you're working with tools that actually work.
Right. Right, because I've used them.
Great.
And compassion is a big part of that.
Yeah.
And learning how to not judge yourself is a really, really big part of that.
For sure.
And then the third thing I do is I do house calls, which are energetic house calls. I actually feel the energy of houses, and I can find out what they need to support you with your health.
Great. Great. And so if somebody had something going on in their house, what I just want to cover what that would include. Would that include if they've got entities or spirits, or if the house is haunted, or if it's
On a
more
small
like feng
level, I haven't
shui,
actually cleared a spirit, but I do a ritual where I clear the negative energy out.
Okay.
And then I go through your cleaning products. I go through your,
Oh, great.
yeah, your, like, how's your bed? Like, what are you doing in your bedroom? Do you have a TV in your bedroom? That's got to go. That's just got to go. And then teaching like the importance of EMF mitigating.
Great.
Because we're gonna get 5G, and we need to actually be aware of the physical and emotional and psychological effects of that.
EMF, can you give us a quick recap what EMF is and why we would want protection from it?
Electromagnetic frequencies. They're flying around us now. And as 5G is rolled out, the structure of 5G is such that the pulsing gets into 2 inches of your skin. And we don't know how that's going to affect you, but since we're energy, ultimately, I mean, we look like we're solid, but we're actually energy. We need to minimize the impact of that for our health.
Yeah. Great. And so just to add to that, because I've learned a bit about it myself, is that when we have too much EMF, electromagnetic frequencies, it comes from our Wi-Fi routers, from our cell phones, from the electrical wiring in the walls, from the microwave, from most of our appliances, or probably all of our appliances, but anywhere that electricity is running, there's an electromagnetic field that's created around wherever the current is flowing, usually in the wires, the transformers and the adapters that you plug in. And so we want protection from that because
Mm-hmm.
it actually inhibits our intracellular communication in our body. It prevents our body's cells from being able to communicate with each other, creating more dissonance and disharmony in the body, and it breaks down the mitochondria's ability to create energy, and then it mutates cells, when it gets bad enough, and then that's where cancers a lot of times come from. And that's
Mm-hmm.
why especially within the quarter-mile range of cell towers, there's a huge increase in cancer rates.
Mm.
And the Bioinitiative report brought this out, exposed this back, I think, in 2002 when they first
Wow.
came out with that. And the wireless industry has been covering that stuff up pretty well for a while and still trying really hard. Oh, it's perfectly safe, don't worry about it. But yet there's no published studies through them that's
Right.
because if there were, then
Scary
they would
stuff.
be proving either flawed studies or actual non-safe, very dangerous levels that we're exposed to. And especially with 5G, I've heard whistleblowers talk about that being military weapon grade
Mm-hmm.
biowarfare.
Yeah.
So biological warfare, EMF warfare, whatever.
So yeah, like looking for stuff like that in the house and just showing what you can do for that. Just because we need calm and we don't have it in our lives. And at our core, we're ultimately love and peace.
Yeah.
And that's part of my love activism. So
great. Very great. Well, any final thoughts around what might help others going on their journey of discovery and waking up and being more inspired to create change in their lives and maybe take their lives to the next level?
Allow yourself to be quiet. Allow yourself to be quiet, because then you'll actually start to hear what your soul is calling you to.
Yeah.
And being quiet is scary, especially if you're not used to it. And it's ridiculously powerful.
Yeah. And it can be hard if we're not trusting it and we don't know we're getting anything when we go quiet.
Right.
Try to be quiet. It takes some practice, right?
It does take practice. And it's so awesome when you actually get the quiet. So awesome. I'm not a master, but I know I like when I get it, it's like, it's so amazing.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Erica, for being on the show and for
You're so
sharing
welcome.
the wisdom you've gained, the awakenings and all, and the work that you do in the world to help others step more into peace and love activism. It just makes so much more sense. If we're all connected, why isn't that the norm?
So true.
So thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. All right.